We're right on top of a little small hill here, and we're going to look at these graves here, which is the Barton family. If that cottage wasn't there, I could look straight across here, looking southwest to Anamo, the village of Anamo, Ochnamo, the crossing of the cow, where the cow crossed the river. That's where the name comes from, Anamo, Ochnamo. In Ochnamo we have Glendalough House. It's now home to the Beyond the Pale Festival, as you might have heard of, but back in the day it was called Drummond House, and it belonged to the Hugo family. Now, Joseph Hugo was not a very nice person. He was the captain of the local yeomanry here. He was also the High Sheriff of County Wicklow, and he didn't like the rebels in 1798. And as a matter of fact, General Holt, who was the leader of the rebels in the north part of the county here, he stated later in his memoirs that he was an inhumane tyrant. That's how he described him. So he was Glendalough House. In Glendalough House there's a tree, and it's known as Hugo's hanging tree. And people were hung from that tree for their association with rebels in 1798. What he done, he had his house burnt down by the rebels, later rebuilt by the British taxpayer because it was an act of war, okay? But after the Hugos moved out of the area, and they had to move out because the local people, the local population wouldn't tolerate them for what they were, the Barton family moved in. So it was, we're going on to 1838 when the Bartons moved here, okay? So Hugh Barton was the father of Robert Barton, the grandfather of Robert Barton, and Hugh Barton was the one that founded Barton and Gestier, the two chateaux on the left bank of the Bordeaux River, which are now the two biggest chateaux in France. Barton and Gestier is the name of the company, and it was Hugh Barton that formed that. All the Bartons are buried here, okay? The Bartons were first cousins of the Childers, okay? This is President Childers' grave that we're standing beside here, okay? So how they were related was that Hugh Barton's son Charles and Charles' sister Anna both married Childers. So therefore, Robert Barton, who was buried here, and Robert Erskine Childers, the gunrunner from 1914, were first cousins. So the Childers spent a lot of time in Glendalough House. They spent the summers there. They were with the Bartons a lot. They were Church of Ireland people as well, the two of them were. So there was lots of connections between the two of them. And if I fast forward to the rebellion, so Robert Erskine Childers was the Holt gunrunner. So he had the boat the Asgard, a sailing yacht, and he took 1,500 rifles back from Germany and landed them at Holt, him and his wife. The Asgard is now in Collins Barracks Museum, and it's totally preserved, and you can go and see it there, and it's fantastic to see it preserved by the state. It's absolutely brilliant that it's there. Childers fought in 1916, and then both Childers and Barton fought in the War of Independence from 1919 to 1921. So Childers, Robert Childers, and Robert Barton both went to London with Collins. Barton was a signatory to the treaty in 1921, the Treaty of Independence that we had from the British, and Childers was secretary to the party. So Childers would have been responsible for all the documentation. They came home from London. What happened? What happened? Civil war. Because most of the population, or sorry, a fair percentage of the population, did not accept the treaty for two reasons. A note to a foreign king was insanity to an Irishman. So that was the first problem. They would have to go into Parliament and swear a note to a foreign king. And the second was the partition of the island, the 6 counties that we lost, right? So De Valera, he said, no, I'm not accepting this deal, no, and he went to the country. They lost the vote in Parliament. It was a very narrow defeat. It was 63 to 61 in Parliament was the vote was lost by. De Valera never accepted it. He was supposed to be the greatest Democrat, but he wasn't a Democrat that day. Okay, so he went and started the Civil War, his side did. What did Childers and Barton do? They changed sides from treaty to anti-treaty, okay? So both Barton and Childers, the two cousins, they went to the anti-treaty side and they went in with Dev, all right? What happened to Childers? Childers was arrested by the Free State outside Glendalough House, and in his pocket he had a pistol that was given to him as a present by Michael Collins. The irony of it. But because he was on the Republican side, that was a capital offence, and he had to be executed. So Robert Childers was taken to Portobello Barracks. He was imprisoned there. He was moved to Richmond Barracks, and he was shot by firing squad. But here is a taste of the man, what I'm going to tell you next. His son, Erskine Hamilton Childers, was 17 years of age. He called his son in the night before his execution, and he said to his son, "I want you to shake the hand of every man involved in this deed and forgive them." And his son done that. When he was standing in front of the firing squad was made up of young Navy soldiers of the Irish Free State. They weren't even experienced soldiers. They'd never fought a war. They'd only fought a guerrilla war. They weren't out in the Somme. They weren't anywhere like that. Most of them were only 18 and 19 years of age. And they stood there with their rifles in front of Robert Childers. Childers said to them, "Lads, take a step closer, make it easier on yourselves." That's the type of man he was.